in that game in the opener on Wednesday to the LA Clippers. And, really, I think what I was most excited about tonight, we got word before the game that Anfernee Simons was going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. He was on the injury report listed as questionable with a right thumb injury. And then shortly after we got that word, it was reported that he was going to be out for an extended period of time. Surgery is required on the thumb, and that means Ant's going to be on the shelf for 4 to 6 weeks. So the big question was, what was Coach Billups going to do with the starting lineup? We discussed it on Blazers Game Day. We speculated. Chris and I talked about the pros and cons, of whether you should go with Malcolm Brogdon, who obviously is a vet, has more experience, or do you go and choose baptism by fire and put Shaden Sharp in the starting lineup next to Scoot, the at some point in the future star backcourt of this franchise? And he came out before the game and announced that Shaden Sharp would get the start. I have to admit, I was surprised by that. I mean, I'm not saying it's the wrong decision. I just thought that Chauncey Billups would choose the veteran presence for a couple of different reasons. One, he probably wants to win a couple of games. I know that the circumstances for him the first 2 years largely out of his control with a couple of tank seasons. But as a coach, he's still got 100 losses on his record. Coaches don't like that because 5 or 6 years from now, no one's going to remember that those were tank seasons. But it's still on your record. You got to, roll with that. And he probably would like to showcase what he and his staff have been working on. I also thought that if you put Brogdon on the floor, that it would make the game maybe a little bit easier for Scoot, who is adjusting to the NBA game, the speed, the competition, the type of talent he's going up against now. Like we saw on Wednesday against the Clippers, it's a little bit different than the G League. And, Scoot is adjusting to all of that. So those were, kind of the thoughts with Brogdon. But obviously on the other side, it's like, hey, if you know you're not going to compete for a championship and you know you're not going to the playoffs and you understand that this season's all about developing the young players, then sometimes you got to say what the bleep and just go for it. Put the young guys out there and let them go. And that's what they did. And I thought Shaden Sharp responded extremely well. And much like we've seen in situations, whether it be last year towards the end of the year or this season through the preseason, and what we've seen from Sharp is that when he's on the floor, especially with the second unit, we noticed this during the preseason time, much more certain of his role, much more aggressive, willing to attack and get after it. He just seems more comfortable in that role. And tonight, when he was on the floor with Scoot and Ant's not on the floor, I think he understands the pecking order just a little bit. My guess is the coaching staff probably got to him and said, hey, you got to be you. Don't be afraid to be aggressive and get out there and go after it. And he did it. And he scored a game-high 24 points tonight. He pulled down 5 rebounds, dished out a couple of assists. He was 9 of 23 from the floor and 4 of 11 from downtown. So a very good showing. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't perfect. But he was aggressive. He was looking for he got to his spots. He was looking for his shot. And he showcased a lot of the different things that we all appreciate about him in his young NBA career. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, props to Shaden Sharp for answering the call, because now what that's going to do is give the coaching staff confidence in their decision-making. And we'll get to Chauncey Billups later in the show, but he said in the postgame, he was asked, what are the plans moving forward with Ant out of the starting lineup? Are you going to go with Shaden and Scoot? Will you maybe mix it up a little bit and get Brogdon on the floor? And he flat out said, no, I'm going to roll with what I got. And he talked about the opportunity with the games they're going to be playing without Ant as a great learning experience for Shaden Sharp and Scoot Henderson. And I told you I've been all twisted up over the last couple of weeks. I saw Shaden in that first game at home against the Suns in the preseason. And I'm like, yeah, he ain't ready. You can't start the guy. He's just not ready. And I was probably right in the assessment, but then when you take a look at some of the other guys who are on the roster who are getting starters minutes, you're like, why is that guy playing? Why is Matisse Thybulle getting starters minutes when he's not going to be part of this long-term moving into the future? He's sub-adequate. And this is nothing against Matisse, but he's not someone you want starting at the 3. So You might as well just roll with the young guys. Baptism by fire, get them to learn and get them up to speed. So, again, a couple of years down the road, you've got these young guys, the young potential stars where you want them to be, right? Right? I mean, what's wrong with that? So that's what we saw tonight. Big props to Shaden Sharp for the way he stepped up. Elsewhere, the Blazers did struggle tonight. More struggles for Scoot Henderson. He just doesn't look comfortable yet. But I think Chris Burkhardt mentioned this. You know, there were times where, and the one thing that Chauncey wanted, he mentioned this prior to the game tonight, that he went back and looked over the tape, and the advice he gave to Scoot Henderson was simple. I'm 47 years old. I could play at the pace that you were playing at and the speed you were playing at in the opener against the Clippers. Play faster. Pick up the pace. You're Scoot Henderson, for crying out loud. You're 19 years old. You're chiseled out of stone. You're an Adonis. You operate at a different level. I should not be able to roll at the pace that you're playing at. And we saw him pick up the pace. He played with a little bit more purpose. Still made a ton of mistakes. Got into foul trouble. That's always going to be an issue. Refs, for the most part, do not respect rookies. They're not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's an issue, especially for young bigs in the NBA. Having to make that adjustment to the NBA game is, the officials and how they call it. So foul issues. He did not shoot the basketball particularly well tonight, but that's okay. 25 minutes for Scoot, largely due to the foul trouble. 3 of 12 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. And he finished with 7 points, 2 assists, and 5 fouls. Not the best. Jeremy Grant, 15 points in 36 minutes. They got 14 points, 15 rebounds from DeAndre Ayton. Much better position for Ayton tonight. Wasn't sunk in foul trouble like we saw in the opener against the Clippers, and much more active, which is terrific. And then, of course, Malcolm Brogdon, 18 points off the bench after scoring 20, a team high in the opener against the Clippers. Didn't shoot the ball great, but what I love about Brogdon is just the way he plays. You can tell when he's on the floor and he's running the offense, things just function better when he's out there because of his experience. He's just a better player right now than Scoot. So you're going to notice those changes, but that's okay. Just keep putting them out there, keep getting them minutes, get Scoot and Shaden more burn, and see what they can do. All right, Chad Doing with you. This is the fifth quarter. Chris Burkhardt is here. Magic over the Trailblazers, 102-87. Portland now, after their home opener, will head off to the road. Next game will come up Sunday in the Fighting City of Philadelphia. Tip-off against the Sixers at 4:30. I'll have game day on Sunday afternoon starting at 2, along with Chris Burkhardt. And then Monday, second of a back-to-back in Toronto against the Raptors. You can jump on board if you'd like, 503-248-0620. Also, you can check out the live stream. We are on YouTube. Just simply go to youtube.com, pull up Rip City Radio 620. The live link is right there, and you will see my beautiful face and Burkhardt's beautiful face, and you can take part in the YouTube chat. So that's where we're at. The Blazers take the loss. I thought a very productive night for Shaden Sharp. More struggles for Scoot Henderson. But I would love to get your take on what you saw from the team tonight. And for Anfernee Simons, I feel bad for him. He's worked really hard during the offseason. The one time where finally it's his team and Dame's in Milwaukee with Giannis, he has a chance to come out and really showcase what he can do and be the primary option, a big-time scorer. And now he's going to be on the shelf for 4 to 6 weeks with a ridiculous thumb injury. It sucks for him. I like Ant. I like his attitude. I like the way he rolls. I like his work ethic and just his calm demeanor. He's one of those guys you want good things to happen to. But that's the way sports work. Injuries are part of the game. Rehab, get right, come back, and then he'll get back into the mix. As for the Orlando Magic, they're one of those young rosters in the NBA that I enjoy watching. Along with the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Sacramento Kings, there are some squads that put together some good young talent. And the Magic are one of those. Paolo Banchero wasn't spectacular tonight, but I really enjoy watching him play. He's, without question, going to be a future star in this league. All right, we'll bring in my partner, Chris Burkhardt, who's chilling. And what'd you make of Shaden's effort tonight? Gets the start. We were a bit surprised by that. steps in, scores a team-high 24 points, and looked comfortable in a lot of different areas tonight. That's what we want to see from him. Aggressiveness, getting to his spots, showcasing the athleticism. He's pretty smooth on the offensive end.
I loved it. I loved it. Like you said earlier, answered the call, right? He was going to have an opportunity. The face of the team right now, like you said, the best player out there, Ant, is not going to be out there now for at least 4 weeks. So someone has to step up, and he did in a big way. I think he showed something here tonight. It's going to take time to make this a consistent thing, but I think he did show that, you know what? He can go out there. He can score. He can make moves. In the YouTube comments, Han, who's one of our, like, primo #1 watchers. He give him a badge for like being one of the very first of our followers. By the way, Han, last year he said he couldn't wait till he said congratulations on 500 subscribers because we were like 300 at the end of the year. We're there now, Han. We made it.
575.
But no, he was there, and he said that one thing he noticed was that Shaedon was active on both sides of the floor, and that's what you want to see. That's what you like. So yeah, it was a big game for Shea.
Yeah, so in a season like this where the team is clearly focused on development. I saw something in the opener that was nice. I saw Ant being very productive on defense, especially in ISO situations. I thought Scoot showed some signs defensively in the opener. And then tonight, look at Shaedon Sharpe showing effort on defense, being productive on the offensive end. I think those are very good things. Very good things. And the pressure cooker continues for the Trailblazers. I mentioned that they're going to be in Philadelphia on Sunday. But this schedule, I mean, look, it doesn't get any easier. The Blazers, out of the gate, they've got a tough road. And these youngsters that Coach Billups was talking about after the game are going to continue to get a nice little education, NBA style. Philadelphia on Sunday. Monday in Toronto against the Raptors. Wednesday in Detroit. And then you're back home for back-to-back games against Memphis, before you take a trip to Sacramento, LA against the Lakers, and Utah against the Jazz. And then you're back home for Cleveland, the Lakers, the Thunder, and then you're back out on the road for the Suns. Like, that is NBA lifestyle right there. In this city, out of this city, onto the next city, and you got some big-time competition coming up.
It's the life.
Dude, it never ends.
Never ends. Now, I have a question for you. We hinted at this pregame show, and if you're listening and watching on YouTube, chime in as well. But do you almost feel like a sense of relief in Chauncey's voice right now? Because the last 2 seasons, right, you walked into the season with the playoffs as the goal. Like, tanking wasn't the goal on November 1st, right? And then things happened. Tanking ended up being what the eventual outcome was. So your direction changed throughout the season, right? The direction's not going to change right now. The direction is develop, right? And when you walk into a season and it's playoffs on the mind and you got Nurk, you got Jeremy, and you have Ant, you have Dame, it's hard to go develop Shea the way you want, right?
Yeah.
It sounds to me almost like a guy who's like relieved that, okay, the focus gets to be on this one thing. We know it's not going to change. I get to throw these guys to the fire.
Yeah. I think that's what they want. I just got a great text message from Kyle Nishida, good friend and one-time part of the show. This is what he said, and it's in relation to what you're talking about. When Ant is healthy, is having Shaedon come off the bench the best for this franchise? And I think that's a great question because even Tom Havastro was talking about this on the broadcast after the game. If you look at the numbers for Shaedon going back to last year and now what we saw tonight, when he's on the floor without Ant, the productivity is there. And I think that's because of the pecking order and the fact that he feels like he can be more aggressive and get to his spots and get his shots up. When Ant's on the floor, who's the number one option? Well, it's Anfernee Simons. I love Ant, and I love what he brings to this team, but I also understand the aspect that if you're trying to develop these young players, there's got to be a way where you can get Shaedon Sharpe in the starting lineup. And I guess my question for you would be this, Burkhardt. The most logical choice is to get Tease out of there. When Ant's healthy, get Tease out of the starting lineup and put Shaedon in at the 3. But my question is, how does that impact Shaedon if he's at the 3 starting and he's got Scoot and Ant in the backcourt? Can they make that work?
See, now that's a good question. I like where your head's at, but also like you almost have to wonder too. And this is something I've hinted at with you again during the preseason and the various times we've talked on the drive is just I feel like this team will eventually make a decision as to which way they're going, Shea or Ant. Because it's Shea, as he showed tonight, Shea plays like a shooting guard, right? He doesn't really play like a small forward.
No.
Right? So
He's
you
a
can't,
2.
yeah, you can't really force him into that role where you're going to end up getting on switches and guarding a lot bigger bodies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so you right now you have 3 really, really good guards. Which way do you go? And I said this going in that if this season, if Shea doesn't show the progression that the team wants, maybe they dangle him for a trade. If he shows a big jump, like if the performance he had tonight ends up being a thing over the next 4 or 6 weeks, then you got to consider where your future is with Ant as well, because you can't tell me that Ant might not be able to go get you a nice young piece or the draft picks that you want to continue to develop this young core.
I agree. And I can't help but wonder, with some of the questions they had about Shaden last year with his work ethic and adjusting to the NBA lifestyle and the worries that they had, did they not look at Anfernee as kind of that insurance where it's, hey, if this guy goes down a path that's not good, we've got Ant that we can rely upon? Because one thing for certain, if they both continue to develop, and then you've got Ant, and then you've got Shaden, at some point you're going to have to make a decision. If they're both playing at a high level and you're trying to find minutes and a way to get them both involved, it's not going to work together long term. So you're right. There's going to be a fork in the road at some point in the future.
Yeah, I totally think there is, and they're going to have to.
And here's where I think the fork was already decided, barring a disaster for Shaden. Anfernee Simons was not drafted by the current regime of Mr. Schmitz and Joe Cronin. It was Shaden Sharp. They took him with the number 7 overall pick last year. That's their guy. And most GMs that I know, they care about making sure that their guys get as much time to develop as possible. They want their guys to work out.
Didn't we just live that with with Neil Olshey?
Yes.
Wanting to continue to prove that CJ was the guy and Dame was the guy and going out of his way to go get Al-Farouq Aminu, who was his guy.
Yes. But here's the key. You also have to be willing to admit when you make a mistake, right? So if you draft a player and it doesn't work, don't hold on to it for too long. Recognize it, understand it, and then make your move. But it would appear that there's a bit of a logjam.
Yeah. And again, it gets interesting. Again, as Han points out, that Shea's definitely more of a 2, and you do have luck with the fact that Ant is a combo guard, right? So maybe your future is Ant at the 1 and Shea at the 2. Maybe it's Scoot at the 1, Shea at the 2. I mean, you got an option here if your 2 young guys don't pop, and that's Ant. You hope they pop. You don't want to go to that alternative. But the big thing for me, Chad, and I'm sure you're probably the same, is that you eventually do have to pick the lane. Because if they don't pick the Ant lane or the Shea lane, then you end up getting right back to square one where they were with, is it Ant or is it CJ? Is it this or is it that? It's that shooting guard logjam that kills their momentum.
I agree. The one thing that's tantalizing about Sharp, his size. If he continues to work and can develop on both ends of the floor, it's his size. He gives you size, length at the 2, right? That's something that you know that this team has lacked for an extended period of time. Lack of size in the backcourt. And Shea, when you look at him, it's like, okay, he's long, he's athletic, he plays the 2, he kind of fits. He's the perfect fit for that position. But, again, he's got to continue to work. It's really for him about the work ethic, about the development and continuing to grind and do all the little things you need to become a better player. Day by day, game by game, week by week, month by month, he's got to continue to push forward and produce. Love the aggression tonight, the activity on defense. He had a couple of plays in the open floor, which are nice. I love to see him in those situations where they're on break and he can showcase his athleticism. He can finish in a variety of different ways. It looks easy for him, too. Must be nice to be that guy.
Yeah, right? Must be. I took my kids to the pumpkin patch today, and by the time I left, look at my wife said, gosh, my knees are kind of sore. I couldn't jump out of a paper bag, let alone jump out the gym like some of these guys do.
All right, 503-248-0620. We're on YouTube. You can join the live stream if you'd like. maybe you're driving home from the game, you can get inside your house and pull us up on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and go to Rip City Radio 620. You'll find us there. Click on the live link, and we'll keep things rolling here on the show. We'll get to What's the Scoot. We'll hear from Chauncey Billups. We'll give you a scoreboard report. And the Blazers, after Game 2, they move on to Philadelphia for a game on Sunday. Tip-off at 4:30, game day at 2, and it's all right here in your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. Your final tonight from Moda Center, the Magic over the Trailblazers, 102-87. Chad Doing and Chris Burkhardt, you got the fifth quarter.
Liberty Coin and Currency presents the fifth quarter shot of the night. Liberty Coin and Currency, the place to buy and sell your gold, silver, jewelry, and coins.
Walker gets straight to the wing. Gets attack. Steps through. Throws into the corner, but it's stolen by Grant. He jumped the passing lane. Here comes Grant in the front court. Gives it to Shane. Shane the drive. Slips through. Reverse. Baked it in! Timeout Orlando! Jeremy Grant with the steal. Fed Shaden Sharp, who adjusted at the last minute, and banked it in. Blazers by 3, 50-47.
All right, fifth quarter, Chad Doing and Chris Burkhardt with you on this Friday night in Portland. Hope you're enjoying your Friday evening, getting ready for a big sports weekend. The World Series is underway. Trailblazers basketball is underway. College football is hot and heavy, both the Beavs and Ducks with big games tomorrow. And then we got another NFL Sunday, so it is all good. Your telephone number here, 503-248-0620. Just talking about the Blazers' loss tonight. Magic get the win 102-97, but Shaden Sharp answered the bell. He was moved into the starting lineup with the news that Ant was going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. He finished with a game high, 24 points. And we saw Scoot struggle some more tonight. He got into foul trouble, but the Blazers played very scrappy tonight. They responded with better energy than what we saw in the opener. And now they'll move on to Philadelphia to take on the Sixers on Sunday. Let's go out to the phones. You can jump on board, 503-248-0620. Tall Tim is back. Tall Tim, welcome to the fifth quarter, brother.
Well, good to hear from everybody. It's we're nestling into our cozy spots again as the season starts.
Yeah.
I don't know how cozy it is for you or me, but we'll make it through. Have you ever been on a really long flight, like 10, 12-hour flight?
I have, and I start to get restless. Yes.
There's nothing you can do, right?
Yeah.
You have to just get through it, right? No matter how uncomfortable you are. There's nothing you can do. You can't get off the plane. You can't change the time frame. So that's where we are, people. We're on a long-distance flight. And where it ends up, we'll see. But I will say tonight, they were competitive, right? I mean, they had the lead. They had some runs. They got in there, but come on. They're just trying to figure out what the heck they're even trying to do out there. So it all comes down to, making a few good plays. But I thought their defense tightened up a little bit, but every game in the NBA comes down to who shoots a better in three-point percentage. Almost every game now, and Portland doesn't have the shots. We're not making threes, so that just gets us behind it. The game is so hard to catch up. You have to put so much energy in. But I'm going to watch them. What do you think? You're going to watch them, or you're going to give up after two games?
No, because my whole thought process this year, Tall Tim, is this team this season. It's not about wins and losses. It's really not. They're not focused on that. They're not trying to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're not competing for a championship. This is about a young team where the franchise is trying to acquire more assets and more talent, and you got to focus on, as a coaching staff, the development of your young players, guys. Most importantly, Shaden Sharp and Scoot Henderson. So this year, it's about watching game to game to see the little changes, the developments, and the way that these guys are able to come along, because the work that they put in now as a team and the development that we see with Scoot and Shaden, 2 or 3 years down the road, that's going to be critical. That's what it's all about right now, development of the young guys, and as a front office going out and continuing to acquire assets and talent.
Well, I mean, in Brogdon is really, I think, going to be a really great asset. Now, I don't know how long he's going to be on the team, but he could come in, set a tone, keep us in the game, and kind of be almost like a coach on the floor, right? And to say, look, I got your back, Scoot. Everybody's got you on their radar because they want to show you, welcome to the NBA. So I think that was a brilliant move, whether it was planned or not, to have him on the team and be a stabilizing force right now.
Well, he is. You can see when he's on the floor. We saw it tonight. When he comes in the game, the offense runs smoother. It's a better operation because of his experience and the fact that he's been there and done that. And he's a darn good basketball player, and you can see it just the way he operates. There's a certain more speed that he plays at, the comfort. He's more under control. That's just the difference of a guy who's been in the league for a long period of time compared to a guy like Scoot. It's pretty obvious.
Now, one thing I'd like to see is our big guys get a little bit more of an idea of how they want to fit into the game. But I will say, would you quit driving into the lane and trying to make a little oopsie-oops pass to the center with about 4 guys in there? It's like, how many times do we got to do that before we know that is not how you get the ball to the center? So they got to figure out how to get 8 more involved in this offense for sure.
Yeah, there's no question. And you bring up the three-point shooting. It's early. There's only been 2 games. But to give you an example, the last couple of years with Dame, the Blazers averaged 13 made three-pointers per game. They're top 10 in the NBA. But now they made 10 in game number 1. They only made 9 tonight. The Blazers, after years of being one of the top three-point shooting teams in the league, that's something that's going to fall off significantly. And I think what's going to happen is that they're going to fall into the bottom 10 of the league in three-pointers made. And then when you combine that with the challenges they're going to have defensively with a young team that lacks continuity, it's going to be hard to stay in a lot of these games because these other teams with more talent, they can shoot the ball better. They're going to put points up on the board. It's just going to be hard for Portland to match. And that's why, Chauncey Billups talked about it during the postgame. They've got to go out there and continue to grind, to scrap, to fight, because they're going to have stretches where they're going to have difficulties finding field goals, and you've got to be able, as a unit, to find ways to stay in games. And that's going to come through hustle, from energy, from effort, and these guys fighting and scrapping to manufacture points, to harass teams with their defense. They've got to find other ways to get creative, to create an opportunity so they can have success on the floor. Because the offense, while they go through this transition with a young team and, the new guys trying to figure out their role and, they're trying to shape the roster, you're going to see some of the hiccups there. And that's going to be tough. In fact, it's really tough. But that's part of the process of growth. And that's the other problem with Ant not being on the floor. He's their best shooter. I asked Chris before the game, where's the offense going to come from? Who's going to step up and knock down threes? Is it Jeremy Grant? They got to find someone else to step up and shoulder some of the load on offense. Tonight, they were led by Shaedon Sharpe. They got 15 from Grant, 14 points, 15 boards from Ayton. I think Ayton's going to become more and more comfortable with each game and become more productive as a result. And they got 18 points off the bench from Malcolm Brogdon. So with Ant out of the lineup, obviously you want Sharpe to continue to be aggressive, but you're going to need Brogdon, Ayton, and Grant to step up and contribute.
You want to get Ayton, I think, a little more involved. That's for sure. But at the same time, you understand rookie point guard, second-year shooting guard tonight. You have Matisse Thybulle's not an offensive threat. Jeremy Grant is so-so right now. Again, love Jeremy Grant. He just needs some more around him. And DeAndre Ayton still went out and had, 14 and 15?
Yeah.
Like, if it were that with, a Dame and CJ type backcourt right now, 2 guys who not playing like those two because we don't need that right now, but I'm just talking 2 consistent guys, years of experience, going to go out there, command the offense, then that 14 and 15 from DeAndre Ayton looks pretty good, right? On 7 of 9 shooting, I believe it was. I mean, Nurk could have had 14 too, but usually it's on, 6 of 15 with nothing but shot puts and misses. Yeah. So, that's not a terrible game for DeAndre Ayton, who you can tell, by the way, is still figuring out what it's like to play next to Scoot. Tall Tim alluded to, going into the paint and passing the ball off with 4 defenders around him. Scoot will eventually learn where to place that pass, because there was a time there where he did that play. DeAndre Ayton rolling in, he threw him the pass, but it was more at his waist, went to off his hands, turnover. If he's going to get to the point where he's throwing that ball up higher above the head or up where he can jump, that's going to be easy dunks, easy alley-oops, easy lay-ins, easy points in the long run. So I'm not too concerned with Ayton right now. I thought that was a really efficient game, all things considered, what was around him.
You bring up a great point. I think one of Scoot's best friends could be Ayton. He needs to get close to him and spend a lot of time in practice, because those 2 guys, they can help each other. In the pick-and-roll game, the lob game, they can work with each other, develop a connection, that's going to make both players better.
Like Jerry Maguire, it right? Help me, help you.
That's what I'd be doing if I was Scoot. Aiden, help me, help you, and get all intense about it. I like Aiden, man. I'm a fan. I know a lot of people have their question marks, but I just think he comes in motivated, and I think as he gets more comfortable, he's going to be more and more productive. But you're right. I'll take 7 of 9 from the floor from my big man after years of Nurk any day of the week. High percentage shooter, finisher.
Oh, yeah. And he moves so well, very, very quick.
For a big dude.
Yeah, he had a play there within the last minute where he just jumped up in the middle of a pass and blocked a pass midair, and before he even hit the ground, passed it back out to Sharp. Now, Sharp didn't get called for travel, and he should have because he triple dribbled the darn ball. But still, little plays like that I like. And this was one of those games. There was a lot I liked despite the outcome. I saw some things from Scoot that I was like, okay, I see what he's trying to do. It's going to take a minute, but I see what he's trying to do.
I do love the fro, too. I'm a big fan of fros. I like the way Scoot looks. I'm down. I'm down with Scoot. You can tell. I think as you put it, what were the words you used? You could see the wheels are turning, right? He's processing. He's looking around like a technician trying to figure it out.
Well, what I liked today, Chad, was...
And you know it's going to come.
Yeah, you know it's going to come. But, what I liked today was even though, again, there was hiccups, what did Chauncey ask him to do pregame?
Play faster.
Play faster, be more aggressive. And what was he tonight?
Faster.
Faster and more aggressive.
Yes.
So at that point, coach is not going to be upset if he makes mistakes. I walked up to you, gave you constructive criticism. You soaked it in and then went and did what I asked. That means that this guy is going to be coachable and teachable and moldable.
And I think it's great when the coach gives a critique but gives a simple message. Instead of trying to overwhelm, like, dude, just go play faster. Play at a better tempo. I could play at that tempo. You're not me. You're Scoot. Keep it simple. And that's something Scoot can hear and be like, okay, coach, I got you.
Part of me wants to believe that Chauncey said that at practice and Scoot popped off with prove it.
Yeah. And then they went one-on-one.
Yeah. And and it's one of those things that lives on in Blazers lore that no one knows. And it's going to pop off when they do the 30 for 30 about this Blazer team, just like they did with the Bulls, the whatever show that was, The Last Dance, right?
Yeah.
It'll be the first dance, Scoot's first dance. And yeah, Scoot. So I took that personally.
Yeah, he did. I took that personally. And Chauncey, he's still young enough, not too far removed from the game. There's part of him, too, that he still feels like he's an old-ass gangsta, and he can go out there and drop hammer on him. He feels like that. Come here, Scoot. I'm going to drop the clown hammer on you, and I'm going to teach you a thing or two, man. I'm going to put you over my knee and spank you.
He's young enough, but I feel like everyone from that old school era feels like, yeah, I got one more game in me if you want to run.
Well, it reminds me of Reggie Miller talking about Larry Bird when he was coach there with Indiana, when they would get into horse contests at practice, and Bird would just mop it up. Couldn't move because of the back all the years of playing, but the shooting contests were still no problem. Like the old commercials with MJ, the McDonald's commercials, nothing but net. Nothing but net. I have a feeling that Chauncey could still play a little bit. And I know some of these ex-ballers like Michael Holton, he still goes to the local gym, plays pickup basketball, gets after it.
The crazy part about these NBA hoopers, right, is they may lose the burst, right? They may lose the bounce.
Yep.
They may lose the waistline.
Yep.
They never lose the shot.
No.
Never lose the shot.
No. Nope, it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. All right, fifth quarter, Chad Doing and Chris Burkhardt, Magic over the Blazers tonight at Motor Center, 102-97. We'll come back and give you a scoreboard report, and then we'll take a listen to Chauncey Billups following the game tonight. You can join us on Sunday. We're back at it starting at 2 with game day. Tip-off against the Sixers at 4:30, and we'll have fifth quarter for you on Sunday evening as well. All right, 503-248-0620. Chad Doing along with Chris. You can jump on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, hit Rip City Radio 620, hit the live link, and join our cameras in studio and the live chat. All right, what's the scoot? A new feature that we're going to have throughout the course of the year, where we're going to take a look at Scoot Henderson, at his development, his work game by game, and really just following this journey because we're all excited about Scoot, right? Number 3 pick in the draft, very strong for a 19-year-old and hopefully the future cornerstone of this franchise, where tonight, once again, he struggled like he did in the opener. But, Burkhardt was just talking about this. The one thing we love about Scoot, Chauncey Billups gave him a very simple message that he had for him after watching the film in game number 1. It's like, hey, what's up with the pace, man? I'm 47. I could roll at that pace. You got to play faster. You got to pick it up. And we saw Scoot respond with that. Now, as a result, he had 5 turnovers, but I can live with the youngster in his second game making mistakes if he's out there playing hard and being aggressive the way that I ask him to. And Chauncey Billups said after the game he thought the guys played hard tonight. I would agree with him. For a young team and a team that's new and doesn't have a lot of continuity, I don't need perfection out there, but I do want to see the effort and the response after a bad game. And they struggled in the opener against the Clippers, but tonight they responded with a better effort. And I understand the competition is not the same. Orlando's a good team, probably not as good as the Clippers, but the energy was there, the effort was there. Even when they got down, they continued to hang and continue to fight. And those are little signs. Again, part of this season is just watching the development. And it's not just watching Scoot or Shaden, but a variety of different things. Now, how is DeAndre Ayton adapting to the way that the coaches determine they want him to play? How well are Chauncey Billups and his staff working with the youngsters to get them up to speed? Can the coaches get the guys to play the way that they want them to play? And then you take a look at all the other pieces and see how they're fitting together. Are they finding a role for Malcolm Brogdon? How is he responding? What about Robert Williams? How do you balance out the time between him and Ayton? How are those guys playing when they're on the floor? And so you're evaluating all of these different things, which means you can look to this team right now from game to game and find little increments of growth and say, hey, I like that. And tonight, I liked the way that Scoot responded to the message from Chauncey Billups. I love the fact that Shaden Sharp answered the call and was very productive tonight in a starting role. Chauncey Billups said after the game he's going to continue to start Scoot and Shaden moving forward with Anfernee Simons out of the lineup. And I thought a good response tonight from DeAndre Ayton after the foul trouble in game 1, responding with a much stronger game on the glass and able to put down 14 points on 7 of 9 shooting. So I don't need wins. It's not about the wins right now, but I do want to see growth from all of these different things that I was talking about. And the biggest thing I'm evaluating is the coaching staff, because they're the ones that are tasked with teaching and growing these young players and somehow finding a way to lay a foundation for this team so they have an understanding of what they need to be doing defensively, how they need to communicate, how they need to operate. And on offense, more movement, playing at pace, getting out and running more, and hopefully their rebounding and defense can create some more opportunities for them. I do need more from Jeremy Grant. He was better tonight than the opener, but he needs to be more aggressive. He needs to be more aggressive, especially on the offensive end right now with Anfernee Simons out of the lineup. So if you can get, Brogdon to continue to do what he's doing, get more from Grant, and just have Ayton continue to emerge as he gets used to being in a Trailblazer uniform with new teammates, that will help make up for some of the loss with Anfernee Simons. Now, when they head on this road trip, first back-to-back for the young guys, I want to see how this team responds on the road for the first time, on a back-to-back, on a East Coast swing. Next 3 games are away from home: Philly, Toronto, Detroit. How do the guys respond to that? So there's many different ways you can watch these games right now with the team and not have to worry about the wins or losses. But where's the growth? Where's it coming from? Are the guys making progress? That's what we're looking for. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can hit me up on X. You'll find me there at Chad in Rip City. 503-248-0620. Let's go ahead and take a listen to Coach Billups. He had some very good things to say after the game tonight, in particular about the effort, talking about Shaden Sharp's performance, also Scoot. So let's check in with Coach Billups.
thought Shea was obviously Shea was really good. We needed his scoring, we needed his shooting. With Ant down, obviously we have a void there, So I thought he stepped in and he was aggressive the entire time, and he's going to have to be the entire time. I'm sorry, but that's what we want Shaden to be. Whether he's coming off the bench or starting or whatever, he's going to be a long time starter in this league, and that's the guy that he's going to need to be. And obviously his offense stood out, but I thought defensively he did a good job too. He's picking guys up in the backcourt. He's challenging guys. I thought it was a really good game for Shea.
Pre-game when you said that we hope he can become Devin Booker, I mean, obviously I know who Devin Booker is, but can you elaborate exactly what you mean by that?
Well, I think Devin Booker is I personally think he's one of the top 5 or 6 players in the league. And the way that he had to grind to come up through the ranks, coming into the league, he played for, 4 or 5 different coaches his first 4 or 5 years, learned different system every single year. He continued to play the right way no matter who was coaching him. And then bang, they started to turn their thing around. They started to get all these players, and he stayed consistent the whole time and kept getting better, no matter what was going on with the team. And now he's one of the very best in the league, and I think that's a great model for Shaden. He's got that type of talent offensively, and defensively. So to me, that should be his model.
So it's not necessarily the style of game, but how he went about the game?
No, style too. Oh, yeah, style too. I mean, you look at Book. He can run pick and rolls. Shaden's already getting pretty good at running pick and rolls. He can shoot stand-still threes. Shaden is really good. He's not shooting it great from 3, in the first game. And even today, he wasn't excellent, but you're not leaving him. He's a knockdown shooter. Mid-range is really good. He can get to the basket. Obviously, we know what he can do at the rim, So he's a 3-level scorer. So, no, I'm talking not only his process, but just his game.
Orlando kind of jumped on you guys early. You were able to kind of reel it back in as time went on. What did you guys change, or what did you do differently after that first quarter win? I think they had like 7 or 8 dunks. I think they scored a bunch of points in the paint.
I didn't make any adjustments other than coming in a timeout and just asking who are we gonna be, man? People just keep coming in here like we got to scrap. We at home, like we got to scrap in these games, and whatever happens. And we just started playing so much harder. We started playing so much harder, and we got ourselves back in the game. And I thought our defense. I was really proud of our guys defensively in this game. But there was a moment. There's always a moment, when you're playing hard. There was a moment in the second quarter. I think it was maybe 3 minutes or something left. We up 5. We scrapping. We up 5. They're on the free throw line. Give up that offensive rebound. They get fouled and 1. 2 and 1s. I mean, it just changed the game. It changed the game. And obviously in a fourth quarter game, a 5-point game or whatever, like it's always a moment of truth there where you can't lose focus. And that was it, so that's something that we'll teach and talk about. You can never let off the gas. We finally got the game playing the way that we needed to play. I think we had like 10 fast break points in the second quarter. They had 11 in the first quarter, 0 in the second quarter. We got the momentum. And then in that one instance, we gave it back. So we got to just be able to focus better, longer.
Steve said after the Clippers loss, he was determined to get back to attacking and spraying.
Yeah.
They really couldn't get things going tonight. Obviously, he had foul trouble, but why do you think he struggled again in this game?
Well, I thought his intent was good. It was much better today. He did attack. He just wasn't able to complete it. And obviously, anybody that's played basketball, it's tough to play basketball when you're in foul trouble. You can't be aggressive. You can't attack. You're so worried about, I got these guys picking up kind of almost full court. He's even scared to do that. when you get into foul trouble. So his whole rhythm was off the whole time. I mean, I couldn't play him at all in the second quarter, and he picked up his third. So it just the rhythm's been very, very funky for him, and it just hadn't allowed him to get into a rhythm.
Chauncey, speaking of Scoot, the Clippers, they had 5 guys in the paint every time he loaded up on the ball. It looked like you tried to get some empty side pick and rolls with him, like to clear that backside out for him, allow him to attack. What other spots can you kind of put him in to make things a little easier on him?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a pick and roll player. He's going to be a pick and roll player. He's going to have to do it. As he starts to learn, he'll be better about reading situations. Obviously, teams are going under on him. And so twisting it, and bringing that screen back in it, and then being able to read the plays quicker. People going to be in the paint, you got to spray it. You just got to spray it. Just take it easy. Don't worry about it. You'll get an opportunity the next time instead of holding it, bringing it back. But he just hadn't been able to get a rhythm, so he's trying. He's trying. But we just got to play a very simple game. And they're in the paint, just kick it. We shoot it or make the next play. We'll see what happens. There's going to be another possession in 24 seconds. So. But he's not there yet, He's just not there yet, and it's okay. It's fine.
Chauncey, these next few weeks while Ant is out, are you going to stick with playing Scoot and Shane together in the starting unit, or are you going to maybe think about putting Malcolm with one of them to kind of have a vet out there to call one of them, to just kind of keep things steady? Or is it the way that you went tonight is kind of the way you're going to go?
I think it's an unbelievable opportunity for these guys to start growing up and to learn. So I'm going to stay right there where it's at. And if it's going crazy, obviously you got that common device in Malcolm that I can throw in at any time, But I like where these guys are, and it's just some great teachable moments that every single night is like, they can learn so much.
Did something happen to Tease?
No, nothing happened to Tease. Tease is going to be one of those players all year, They wasn't guarding him, and he was a little trigger shy out there when they swung it to him. So, no, nothing happened with Tease. There's going to be games, obviously, that we've seen where Tease knocks down 4 or 5 threes. So, no, nothing was the matter.
DeAndre started real hot, ended well, but in between foul trouble. Aside from the foul trouble, did you like what you saw from him overall?
I thought he was better. I thought DeAndre was better. We made more of a focus to get him involved. I told him I'm still learning him. I'm still learning his game, where he can be most effective. Obviously him not having Ant out there impacts everybody. When you got a guy in the pick and roll like Ant, that's going to get so much attention. Those pockets are open, swing passes are open. Not having him, it impacts everything. But I thought DA was pretty good, today, and he'll continue to get better.
All right, there's Coach Bells following the Blazers' 102-97 loss to the Magic tonight at Moda Center. Let's go out to the phones. Richard wants to join fifth quarter. Richard, welcome to the fifth quarter. Appreciate the call. What's on your mind?
Chad, good evening.
Good evening.
So here's what frustrates me a little bit. So how old is Scoot? I mean, Scoot's what, 19?
Yes.
Right? He's a young guy. It seems like there's a lot of pressure being put on the poor kid. I mean, he's come in. The expectation is he's got to step into Damian Lillard's shoes. Those are big shoes to fill. I think we got to take it easy on him a little bit. It's doing him a disservice, I think, to expect so much out of him right off the bat. I mean, he's played 2 regular season games, right?
Yeah, this is his second regular season game. Now, when you talk about expectations or taking it easy on him, are you talking about the fans or the coaches, or where are you hearing this from?
Yeah, I think it's the media. I think it's the fans a little bit. I think it's there's following Scoot. What's the radio? You've got a following Scoot promotion going. I mean, that's great, but that's putting a lot of pressure on the poor kid.
Well, I understand that, but when you're a top 3 pick in the NBA draft and you're making that type of money and you're a professional athlete, then it's going to come with some expectations. Plus, he's a very confident young man who was talking about it's a new era for a reason with me now in town. So, some of that is brought on himself, but hey, he's a big time potential superstar in this league. And I'm remaining patient. I don't expect greatness right now. What I care about the most right now, Richard, to be honest, is the coaching staff working with him so that we can see progress game to game. The one thing we knew about his game coming out of the G League is that, he's not a great shooter. So the three-point shot and some of the offense is not going to be there early. But I would expect after he gets, more games under his belt, we're going to start to see him adjust to the speed of the NBA game and the competition. And that's where the assist totals are going to go up because he is a great passer and someone that knows how to find an open teammate. All right, Richard. Appreciate the phone call, my friend. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Do you think the expectations are too high on Scoot right now? Is there too much pressure, or does that just come with being a number 3 pick in the NBA draft?
Not at all. I don't think there's too much pressure on this guy at all. I think the pressure to be the next Dame is external from maybe some fans who still, are upset that Dame's gone, which is totally justifiable. It is definitely not coming from inside the house, right? No. He didn't walk into Joe Cronin's office and Joe look him dead in the eye and go, "I need you to be the next Dame." Like, that didn't happen.
No.
Yeah.
And the truth is, Scoot could turn out to be a great basketball player. He probably will not become what Dame is. It's possible, but Dame is arguably the best player in franchise history. I know that that's debated. It's one of 3. But Damian Lillard is a unique. So I just need Scoot to become the best version of himself. And wherever that falls all time with the franchise, it doesn't matter if Scoot becomes the best player in franchise history. He just needs to become the best version of himself. The great thing about Scoot is his impact probably won't be seen in points scored or three-pointers made because he's a pass-first guy looking to set up his teammates, making the players around him great, developing that chemistry with guys like Ayton or Sharp so he can set the table for them. He's just a totally different type of player than Dame. But, heck, Scoot, he just needs to become the best version of himself. Chances are he won't be good or as good all time as Dame because Dame is you just don't see too many Dames that walk through the door of your franchise. And that's not a knock on Scoot. That's just it signals how great Dame was in a Trailblazer uniform. And we saw Dame last night, 39 points in his debut for the Bucks. But I don't worry too much about the pressure. Scoot is very confident. Scoot has no problems promoting himself and what he can do. And you're a top 3 pick in the draft and you're making big money. Yeah, pressure's going to come with that. Expectations are going to come with that.
You also need to know when you spent a top 3 pick on a guy or a lottery pick or anything that he can stand the pressure cooker. Every superstar has to at some point, right?
Got to. That's what it's all about. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Magic over the Trailblazers tonight, 102-97. You think there's too much expectations or pressure on Scoot? I don't see it like that. I don't think anyone expects him to be Dame. I do think that when you take a player number 3 overall in the draft, that there's a certain level of expectation that comes with that. It's critical for the franchise he turns out to be a hit. When you miss on guys in the top 3, that can be devastating for your franchise. Let's go to Multnomah Village, Jeff. Appreciate the phone call, Jeff. You're up on the 5th quarter. Fire away.
Hey, Chad. Second time, long time.
Appreciate it.
My big takeaway from that game was we really should have won it. My problem was Ayton looked a lot better, but he has the same problem Nurk had, where he seems to have some plays where he's wearing boxing gloves, where he just can't catch the darn ball. And also, I was really frustrated with us going to Grant ISO plays at the most important moment of the game. So frustrating.
Yeah, I could use
Anyways,
a few less. I could use a few less Jeremy Grant ISO plays in my life. And you're right. From all the people I know down in Phoenix who are around the Suns, they all spoke very highly of Ayton and the way he operates. Obviously, he's a good finisher on the rim. He was 7 of 9 tonight, but he is not known for someone with great hands. And it's hard to find big men in the NBA, heck, even in my lifetime, that have great hands, especially when it comes to the entry pass or when you're trying to find those guys. I don't know what it is and why they struggle with that, but Ayton does have issues at times being able to secure the pass.
It's just the same thing we had with Nurk, where it just seems like he just doesn't have hands at all at some plays, and it leads to just frustrating turnovers.
Yeah. What were some of the other positive takeaways you took from tonight?
Honestly, it was all about Shaden tonight. He looked great. He looked great stepping into that role. Sometimes I forget the kid is, 19 or 20 years old, and he's just so explosive, and I just love watching him play. Scoot was a little rough, but then again, how good was Dame at 19? Dame couldn't even make a Duke team when he was 19. So I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think you're right. I think we have to look at it that way, that, it's going to take some time for Scoot as he adjusts to the NBA, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. We'll come back on fifth quarter, and when we do, we'll give you a scoreboard report. It's still time for you to jump on board if you'd like. Magic over the Trailblazers tonight, 102.97. We'll get you updated around the association, let you know what happened. You can jump on board at 503-248-0620. And if you're on hold, stay there. We'll get to your phone calls. Chad Doing and Chris Burkhardt with you. Don't forget we're live on YouTube with the stream. You can pull up youtube.com, go to Rip City Radio 620, and hit the live link and join us here in studio if you'd like, and be a part of the live chat there. It's the fifth quarter here on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, let's get you up to date in the night around the association as the Blazers fall to the Magic at Moda Center by a final score of 102-97. In Charlotte tonight, the Pistons over the Hornets 111-99. Jalen Duren finished with 14 points and 17 rebounds. In Memphis, the Nuggets topped the Grizzlies 108-104. Jokic, 22 points, 12 boards, and 7 assists. In Atlanta, the Knicks topped the Hawks 126-120. Jalen Brunson with 31 points. In Boston, Celtics over the Heat 119-111. Derek White, 28 points, 6 boards, 3 blocks. Thunder 108, Cavaliers 105 in Cleveland. 34 points, 11 rebounds, 5 steals for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And Donovan Mitchell had 43 points, 8 boards, 3 steals in the loss. A final in overtime in Chicago. The Bulls over the Raptors 104-103. DeMar DeRozan, 33 points and 4 steals. Scotty Barnes, a triple-double, 22 points, 10 boards, 10 assists in the loss. In San Antonio, in overtime, the Spurs topped the Rockets 126-122. Victor Wembanyama, 21 points, 12 boards, and 3 steals. In Dallas, the Mavericks over the Nets 125-120. Luka Doncic, 49 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. In Utah, the Jazz edged the Clippers 120-118. Lauri Markkanen had 35 points and 12 boards, 36 for Paul George in the loss. And in Sacramento, the Warriors over the Kings 122-114. Steph Curry had 41 points in the loss. De'Aaron Fox finished with 39. And, of course, the Orlando Magic over your Portland Trailblazers 122-97. Mo Wagner, 17 points and 9 rebounds. DeAndre Ayton had 14 points and 15 boards. And Shaedon Sharpe had a game-high 24 points. And that is your night in the association. Let's go out to the phones. Walter in Portland is out there. Walter, I appreciate the phone call. You're up on the 5th quarter. Fire away.
Yeah, I'm probably a lot older than most of the people that listen up here. And can I just be honest with you?
Of course.
I don't think I have much longer to live. No doctor didn't give me any bad news or nothing. I just don't think I have much longer to live. And I've been waiting for a championship for years, and I keep hearing, well, we got to be patient. Well, we got to build this. Well, we got to, start from the ground up. You got to tear it down. We got to keep going. We got to add this. We got to do that. Oh, wait a minute. We got to back up. We have to back up the truck and get rid of the players and bring the new ones in. And then all of a sudden, here we go. We got to be patient, everybody. You got to be. I'm not going to be around to see any kind of championship if they keep doing that. When the hell is that going to be over?
Well, I don't want to be Mr. Doomsday, Walter, but I can guarantee you one thing. You will die before the Trailblazers win another championship. I have already working off the assumption that I'm not going to see a championship in my lifetime. I can almost guarantee you, I don't even know how old you are, Walter, you will be dead and 6 feet under the ground before the Trailblazers win a championship.
Well, 83 last month.
Congratulations, man. You sound great for 83, Walter.
Yeah, I sing, too. I didn't know that yesterday would be the last for my love for you. You went away at 11:59 at night, and yesterday was the last day for our love.
That's excellent.
I didn't know it was coming, but I'm sure glad it did, because I don't like you anyway. I'm glad you're gone. I'm really, really glad you're gone. That's from a play that we did when I was in junior high.
Were you part of the shower singers, too?
I never went to prison.
Which part of town are you calling from? Are you in Portland or are you on the outskirts? My guess is after that song, you're probably on the outskirts of town.
Yeah, I'm on the outskirts. Have you heard of a kid named Derek Anderson?
I have, yes. In fact, two of them.
Where's
One
he
played
from?
for the Blazers, one played for the Beavers, and I think went to Scappoose.
There you go. That's where I'm at, Scappoose.
I like Scappoose.
I do a moose call. Scappoose. I do that for my friends, and they liked it the first 2 times. They hate it now.
I like that. Scott Poos. It sounds good.
You work on yours, you'll be as good as me. But they're not going to. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Of course, you're right. I'm going to die before they win a championship.
Yeah, you just have to embrace that. I'm sorry to tell you that, but you know it's true. I know it's true. We all know it's true. And my man Chris Burkhardt's not going to see one before he dies either.
You're not like some of these people that just want to make me feel good or make me feel horrible. But you just seem to tell me the truth, and that's good.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Walter.
That's real good. Well, you had other callers, I'm sure, and none of them can sing as good as I can, but, you have a good night anyway, okay?
All right. I take care up in Scott Poos.
Why?
No, I feel free this year. I don't have to worry about wins and losses. I don't have angst about a championship. None of those worries anymore. It's a good thing. You got a better chance than I do, Burkhardt. You're younger. And you were bragging earlier about every place you go into work now, you're the youngin'. I'm older than you. Your other bosses are older than you. You got a better chance to see a title than I do.
I'm ready that, tweener age. So I'm a coin flip away from being the young one and a coin flip away from joining the old group. I have no friends in the office. I can't be part of either group yet.
This is good. Jason Hasser reached out on X and said babies won't see the Blazers win a championship. That's probably true. Look, I just accepted the fate, man. You just got to enjoy the ride. They're not winning a title in my lifetime. They won one in my lifetime, but I was too young to remember it. And if I can't remember it, then how can I enjoy it? I appreciate all the people that were old enough to celebrate the 77 championship, but I wasn't around to be able to be a part of the parade. I was in diapers, for crying out loud. So in a way, it doesn't count because my memories are other people's memories. It's not the same. I just want one. Look, I'm not greedy like these stupid Laker fans in their Crown Royal bags. I'm not greedy like them or Celtic fans that think the NBA revolves around Boston or these losers in San Antonio that get lucky in the draft twice. And now that old grumpy man Pop's got another superstar in Wembanyama. They've got multiple championships. How about we just have one more that we can all celebrate together on Broadway in downtown Portland? What's so bad with that? Just one. I'm not asking for multiple. The sick Warrior fans that used to be Laker fans that are now fake Warrior fans that are celebrating their championships. 4 of them with Steph and company. Not a big fan of those guys.
It's so funny. It's a young generation thing. I really think it is. But dude, what my little cousins, man, I kid you not. Shout out Cameron, who's probably not listening. But oh yeah, I mean, I love the Warriors, and he's always rocking his Steph Curry jersey. And then guess what? All the Warriors went through that year where they were really bad, and they got Wiseman, and the Lakers got LeBron. And then the next family function he came to, he had a LeBron James Laker jersey on. Oh yeah, dude, I've just always been a big LeBron James fan. And like, bro, pick a side.
They're the same losers. They are the same losers. They rotate back and forth based on which team's got a best chance to win. And because they live in California, regardless of whether it's SoCal or NorCal, they're like, oh, yeah, man, go Warriors. Wiseman comes in. Oh, yeah, dude, I love Bron. Go Lakers. Love Kobe. It's sickening. Whatever, man. That's okay. And now we'll get a chance to watch Dame win a championship in Milwaukee, just like Clyde did in Houston. I'm just going to embrace that. When Dame's out there on the floor, I'll just embrace it and pull for the Bucks. And at least I can live vicariously through Dame. Whatever. It's all annoying. Scott Poos. All right, I think that's going to do it for us. Anything else you need to get off your chest there, Burkhardt?
I got nothing.
Next weekend is your birthday?
Next Sunday.
All right.
Boss is making me work.
Do we have a Blazer game that day?
Yeah. I'm going to be this is my schedule.
Oh, Memphis. That's a Memphis game.
Just so you know. I'm going to be heading out. I think there's a Blazer game Thursday or Friday?
Friday, Sunday.
I'm going to be missing that one. Shacker Oak's going to have to fill in, so I'm going to be heading down to Ridgeview for some OSAA volleyball state championships.
All right.
I'm going to be in Ridgeview Thursday night. I'm going to be in there Friday. I'm going to be
Where is that, by the way?
just north of Bend.
Okay.
And I'm going to be there Friday. I'm going to be there Saturday morning. Then Saturday morning, I'm going to scoot, pun intended, on over to Eugene for cross-country championships.
Yeah.
Be in Eugene till, about 10 o'clock at night. Then come back home, have a nice little birthday breakfast Sunday.
Yeah.
And then head on out to some Blazer action. My birthday. I'm loaded. Championship month coming up. I'm about to be a zombie.
All right. I love it. All right. Chris Burkhardt and I will be back on Sunday. We appreciate your time on our YouTube chat and joining us in studio. Also, those of you listening, our next broadcast will come up on Sunday with game day starting at 2, right smack dab in the middle of NFL football. We love that. And the tip-off against Philadelphia at 4:30, and then we're back with the fifth quarter on Sunday late afternoon. Your final score from Moda Center tonight in their home opener, the Blazers fall to the Magic 102-97. For Chris Burkhardt, I'm Chad Doing. Have a good night, my friends. We'll talk to you on Sunday.